Heyo, keep it high, keep it tight. It's J Mercer, review guy, back to bring you another review. Boy, it feels weird not saying 5 minute review. So, of course, today we are reviewing the album God's Favorite Customer by Father John Misty. This is a 10 track, 38-minute album, and it is the follow up to his widely successful 2017 album, Pure Comedy. Now, Pure Comedy was released January 2017, so no one was really expecting him to come out with an album so soon after, but here we are. So Father John Misty is the pseudonym, the kind of side ego of Josh Tillman, who also does music under his own name, but Father John Misty is his side project. So right away, something that I have to mention is how meta this album can be. He has himself directly talking to himself in kind of an odd caricature where he's playing a character that is referring and talking to himself. The name of the song is Mr. Tillman, and that's track 2. That's just something that I'd like to mention is I like the storytelling. I like how it's kind of strange. It's not something you've really heard before. It's different. So the big thing about this album that I have to say is how much this reminds me of some really great artists that I'm sure he takes inspiration from. So this is a kind of folk type of album. This is folk, soft rock, dream pop, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of genres, but this is very just soft rock. Let's go with that. That's a very appropriate title with a lot of folk influence, especially in the vocals. I think that the vocals definitely encompass the biggest folk influence, and as someone that is personally really into folk music, I think that is a good quality of this album. It's a good trace that you can find in this music, not only in the vocal performance, but the instrumentals too, some more than others, but the way the vocals dance around with these instrumentals, beautifully constructed, this haunting feeling, it's enriched with this layer of multi-genre, multi-dimensional, fantastic lyrical writing that goes hand in hand with a vocal performance that is phenomenal, to say the least. He sounds like Elton John. I can't tell you how many times I have heard this literally since I started listening to this artist. And on this album, especially the third track, Just Dumb Enough to Try, which was one of the singles, that is such a true statement. And I also get a lot of kind of 80s new wave vibes, Duran Duran and Tears for Fears. And I also even feel some trace, I mean, here's some trace moments of David Bowie in his music. And it's very faint, but definitely this dude sounds like Elton John reincarnated as a young man again. And that is fantastic. I think that he has to be an inspiration because he just sings and sounds in his just overall structure of his album. This particular album is so much like Elton John. This is an album that we just don't get enough of. It's not just this album, but just in general. We need more albums like this that have this baroque, eclectic type of sound to it that really takes multiple genres and blends them together into this dreamy atmosphere that pop music really needs more of, because for so long now, pop has been, I don't want to say lesser, but it's definitely been suffering in the department of experimentation. Now, is this the most diversely experimental album? No, I'm not going to go so far as to say that this is the most experimental album I have ever heard, but it definitely takes a style that has been long since forgotten and brings it back up to the surface to create an album that is not only very interesting and pleasing to the ears, but also has a lot of depth to it, a lot of emotion to it, and a lot of trace qualities that modern music is severely lacking in. And that's something that I can immediately commend this album for, is the fact that these lyrics are deeply emotional, they are filled with depression and angst and sorrow, and the way the vocals with this gritty kind of natural grit, not the type of grit that you hear in necessarily like a country album where you can tell it's being manufactured, but a genuine natural grit that goes along with his natural register with these these falsetto highs that sound so folkish. That's some of the biggest folk influences when you get these higher vocals that he can jump from his natural register, his natural range, and go straight into these beautifully haunting highs that dance with the instrumental and cause this atmosphere that really makes it a pleasing place for your ears. And I have to say that that's really great. Overall, I'm going to give this album a 9 out of 10. I think that it does what it does amazing. And the only reason it's not a perfect 10 out of 10 is I know that this music necessarily wouldn't be for everyone. But if you are a fan of people like Duran Duran, Tears for Fears, Elton John, or any other type of new wave or piano ballad type of songwriter, I have to say give it a shot because it has fantastic lyricism, phenomenal vocalization, and beautiful, if not minimalistic, instrumentals that work so well and inclusively to the music that he is performing on this album. And I definitely and highly suggest that you go check it out for yourself. I'll put a link in the description where you can go listen to this full album streamed by him himself. And I'll talk to you guys next time. Comment below what you thought of this album. And until next time, I'm signing off saying farewell.
Oh no, what your mama gonna say when I tell her that I broke no heart? It's just things not the way that they used to be. Oh no, now you crying on the bathroom floor and I guess it's the end. Well, I lost my mind and I lost my best friend.